do that. So, as whack as hell.
Pineapple! Pineapple!
Run. Let's go! Jesus Christ!
What are you doing?
Nothing! Just crying in my car.
Is it something I did?
No.
I've watched a lot of shows in my short, meager existence. A disturbing amount, one could say. Some exciting, some thought-provoking, but most...
Oh no! This marks the beginning of World War Come.
pretty trash. However, a handful of media has touched me to my core and provided almost everything a degenerate pessimist who doesn't believe in love would enjoy. One of the best in those handfuls is the beautiful mess that is the subject of this video. Disclaimer, this video contains some spoilers but not all spoilers, I think. In this video, I'll be talking about a show created in 2014 by Stephen Falk, a man who's worked as a writer on critically acclaimed shows such as Orange is the New Black and Weeds. Now, Falk isn't exactly what most would call a world-renowned or popular creator, but his journey is certainly one that I found endearing. After writing movies that never got made, selling television pilots that never got made, and writing Tumblr posts expressing his sadness, Falk came up with a brilliant idea of doing a boozy, Britishy, cable version of Mad About You, and pitched it out despite his prior unfortunate track record. However, Falk stated in his interviews that this time, he didn't give a shit if they bought it or if it got on air. He just wanted to make something he really liked and didn't care about it being presentable. That show ended up being greenlit at FX, and You're the Worst was born. And boy am I glad it was, because by God is it boozy, British, and mad. For those not cultured enough to know You're the Worst, the series follows Jimmy, a selfish, pretentious prick played by Chris Gree, who...
Not gay. I'm English.
Jimmy is the kind of person who's not afraid to speak his mind and hurt some feelings even when he shouldn't, which would be a respectable trait if it didn't make him so insufferable to people, most of whom I'm convinced want to knock his teeth out. We also have Gretchen, an equally sociopathic, selfish and narcissistic woman played by Ayakash, you know, from The Boys.
Yellow bastard.
Unlike most functioning adults, Gretchen does whatever she wants, whenever she wants, never caring about the consequences should they ever present themselves. Thanks to the power of competent storytelling, the two meet in the most unlikeliest ways and prove the show isn't just your average love story. After attempting and failing at breaking up his ex wedding, Jimmy meets Gretchen, who only attended the very same wedding to steal a food processor. Of course, she also feels that this...
Oh man! Thought it was a food processor.
And upon meeting each other, to acknowledge their mutual feelings and decide to spend the night together to lick their wounds, amongst other things. And what was supposed to be a one-off one-night stand ended up being the start of a weird, wild, and wacky, toxic relationship. Christian and Jimmy's seemingly fated mating and relationship are undoubtedly dysfunctional, but a relationship that only seems to feed each other like a surprisingly functional, dysfunctional symbiosis. I have to admit, there is a part of my brain that enjoys watching media based on horrible people doing horrible things, and that can be more true for this show because the characters, especially our two protagonists, are some of the worst people you'll ever have the displeasure of meeting. These horrible things include, but are not limited to, stealing a cat, taking advantage of a kid, stealing a car, hiding the death of a parent, cocking your husband, proposing, and then leaving afterward, cheating, more cheating, a lot of cheating, amongst many other things. And yes, these are the two dysfunctional degenerates we follow throughout the series alongside their irregular activities, including their admirably cool jobs, which they are surprisingly really good at. Of course, these aren't the only trash people the show features, as we also have the two other kinda main characters, Edgar, who, well, Remember when I said this is a show about horrible people doing horrible things? Well, the exception will be Edgar, as he's the only sweet, sensible person who unfortunately had everything taken away from him after the war, and all he was left with was
the nightmares and the crying and how I want to do heroin all the time.
He faces many ups and downs throughout the show, and we get a glimpse of the unfortunate treatment some veterans get through his experiences. Then we have Lindsay, who's, well,
I'm gonna suck that guy's dick, and that guy's dick, and definitely that guy's dick.
Lindsay. While Edgar is someone who's had things taken from him and is constantly taken advantage of, Lindsay is the polar opposite. She's a woman who's virtually given everything she's had on a platter and takes advantage of almost everyone she meets. If Edgar is chaotic neutral, Lindsay is chaotic chaos, but somehow their friendship and interactions always seem to turn out to be one of the most wholesome relationships in the show. We also have Lindsay's husband Paul, who's, well, a worm. Vernon, an idiotic man-child who's somehow smart enough to be a doctor.
Finally happened! Sorry about that.
And his wife Becca, another self-obsessed narcissist.
You know what, Linz? Your cockaholicism may be just about the least important thing in the world to me right now.
We also can't forget poor Killian.
Simple ass midget.
While watching these sociopaths and their lives interacting with one another and the world around them is not unlike watching a burning dumpster truck swerving into a fire hydrant that you just can't look away from. The show still dedicates at least one single episode for each of these characters, showing how and why they turned out to be the way they did. The episode showcasing Edgar's struggle with PTSD was brilliant, as it did a great job of painting a picture of how it feels to be in that state of mind. The episodes highlighting Gretchen's depressive episodes was praised by fans and critics for tackling mental health and explaining why she is so afraid of confronting her emotions. The episode introducing Jimmy's family highlights his unresolved issues with his dad, leading to his own mental shit and attitude. The episode showing Lindsay and Becca's unfortunate upbringing really explains why they have a lot of warped and questionable values. And the episode focusing on just Paul and Vernon does an excellent job of explaining their own issues and why they put up with their horrible spouses. These episodes almost perfectly succeed in encapsulating and displaying the characters in a way that's hard for the audience not to empathize with them, and shows that at our core, we as humans are selfish, and we all have our own reasons for our actions. But the episodes also don't go too far as to give these characters excuses for doing the things they do. After all, having horrible things done to you doesn't give you an excuse to be an awful person. As a warning, the show covers several dark themes such as the aforementioned depression, PTSD, drug use, anxiety, infidelity, pride, and so much. And thankfully, the show goes balls deep into these subjects in a highly enlightening, respectful, and entertaining way. But it also covers the not so serious topics such as sex, friendship, sex, the different kinds of love, sex, more sex, like a stupid amount. There's even a whole foot fetish thing. Yeah. However, my favorite part of the show is watching our destructive, dysfunctional duo and their journey to discovering how to deal with being in a serious committed relationship. Despite their disdain for monogamy and their pessimistic views on love, they unsurprisingly go against their nature and ideals to get together. The series shows them progressively getting closer and closer and acknowledging their fondness for each other, but also highlights their struggles in doing the whole relationship thing. What makes it specifically interesting is that they're so far gone that they're terrified of any semblance of a stable, functional relationship. Throughout the series, it's shown how they're so painfully bad at doing normal relationship stuff, and even normal human stuff, to be honest.
I'm just gonna leave you with this checklist for college freshmen.
Overall, You're the Worst is a show that depicts an endless circle of toxicity and the fatalism of relationship, which makes it all the more satisfying when you see these characters who, if watched be the absolute worst humans possible in several ways, grow up mentally and evolve their mentalities.
I no longer wish to suck the dick for money reasons.
They eventually find themselves and discover what's truly important to them, resulting in the most satisfying character development I've seen in any sitcom. Sure, the show has several flaws like its stark pessimistic views on adulthood and love, how it intentionally or unintentionally glorifies a few subjects that shouldn't be glorified or just depicting them in a weird way, and having some episodes that, while enjoyable in their own rights, prove not to be pivotal to the plot. However, at its core, You're the Worst is a fantastic show. It's pure, unadulterated chaos and dysfunctional degeneracy that supports all usual romantic comedy tropes, and I love it. It manages to do this while also being incredibly profound and thought-provoking by portraying the real issues of adulthood and relationships in a very blatant way. And don't get me started on the show's impeccable direction and soundtrack, because talking about it would require a whole video of its own. So in conclusion, if you're a fellow degenerate who wants a bit of spice in their rom-coms, be sure to check out You're the Worst. And never forget that
Improv is the lowest form of comedy.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you've reached this part of the video, I genuinely hope you've enjoyed the video, and if not, that's alright. You can check out my other videos. I'll try and upload regularly, so stick around and subscribe maybe, leave a like, comment, do whatever you want. I'm not your mom.